Hello and welcome to day 34 of the 40-day study of Maimonides, the global study of Maimonides. We're now beginning chapter 9, which talks a little bit more about the relationship between the world to come and this world, and about the idea of reward and punishment. Very important idea here in the two halachot that go along with chapter 9. Now the first one is very long, the longest halacha in the entirety of the ways of Teshuvah in Maimonides' work. So this is a really important one that I often think about. We know that the reward for the commandments and the benefit that one merits if one observes the path of God as described in the Torah is the life in the world to come, as it is written, in order to benefit you and lengthen your days. Right? We saw this earlier, that the real reward for the commandments is not in this world. This world, in fact, cannot contain the reward for the commandments. It has to be in another world. We also know that the reckoning that awaits the wicked who abandon the ways of righteousness is described in the Torah as excision, as it is written in Numbers, "This soul shall certainly be cut off, it bears its sin." What then is the meaning of those passages throughout the Torah that use physical terms to describe the reward for people who observe the Torah and the punishment for people who do not? What is the meaning of physical examples such as satiety or hunger or war or peace, glory or humiliation, dwelling at home or in exile, success or failure, and other aspects of this covenant? To restate Maimonides' question, if the world to come is where all of the reward is located, meaning we live in this world and we get nothing for our efforts except in the world to come, or we want to say at the same time that the punishment for the wicked is also after this world, not necessarily in this world, and there are many theological approaches to this question. But Maimonides is going to ask the more basic one. Maimonides is going to ask this question: what about all those passages in the Torah that refer to physical reward and punishment? What does that mean? Why does the Torah say you will get something in this world for a reward when we would assume that next world is where you're supposed to get it, right? How does that work? So he's going to answer it here. All of these words are true and will come to pass, and observing the commandments of the Torah will result in these rewards in the physical world, while failing to observe them will result in all of these negative consequences. This is true even though these physical words are not the essential rewards for the commandments, and these physical consequences are not the punishments for violating the commandments. Rather, the meaning of these words is follows. That one little aside, by the way, is obviously a reference to a passage in the Talmud that talks about the distinction between the essential reward and kind of like interest on the reward. There are some things that you can do, this is read every morning in synagogue, there are some things that a person does that are positive, that you get like the ancillary benefits in this world, but the essential reward is in the next world, and vice versa as well for punishments. But Maimonides is simply going to gloss over that for now, because we're going to concentrate more on a more basic idea, very important one here. The Holy One who is blessed gave us this Torah, the tree of life, and all who do what is described therein and know it with a complete knowing will merit life in the world to come. Interesting that Maimonides adds an intellectual element, right? You have to know the Torah, not just perform the Torah. The reward is calculated according to the measure of one's deeds and learning. The Torah also promises us that if we do these things joyfully and with a generosity of spirit, and always conduct ourselves wisely, then all impediments to observing the Torah will be removed, such as illness, war, famine, and the like. We will also receive all the benefits that strengthen our ability to observe the Torah, such as satisfaction, peace, and wealth of silver and gold. We will not spend our days involved in physical necessities, but be free to study wisdom and perform the commandments, and thus earn merit for the life in the world to come. This is what is written in the Torah, after we are promised these worldly benefits, and this is a charity for us. Now, this is a fascinating and very important point. What Maimonides is essentially saying here is that the real reward, certainly it's in the world to come, nothing else. However, if we work towards that reward, if we honestly and with integrity pursue to the best of our ability the study of Torah and its fulfillment, then God will give us rewards in this world to make that task easier. It's kind of like, an employer who looks at an employee and the employee is slaving away writing these memos in longhand, the employer might say, wow, he's really trying hard. You know what? I'm going to give him a personal computer so he can type those memos more efficiently. It'll be easier for him, his productivity will soar, and everyone will benefit. So it's kind of like incentives and rewards for doing what we should be doing. These are the nature of the words. In other words, if we do our best to fulfill the commandments, God gives us, as Maimonides says, satisfaction, peace, and wealth. Because when we have those things, it's much easier to accomplish those other goals. That's a huge thing, right? So if you want those things, the path is clear before us. The opposite is also true. Maimonides continues, the Torah also warns us that if we knowingly abandon the Torah and engage in meaningless activities, as it is written in Deuteronomy, and Yeshurun grew fat and kicked, meaning if we take all of the benefits that we have and we waste them, or we direct them to inappropriate ends, then God says, well, what did I give you that personal computer for? Go back to writing by hand because you're not using it effectively. Maybe I'll give it to somebody else. The true judge will remove all the aid that we received in the form of the good things of this world that allowed us to quote-unquote kick, and he will replace it with the impediments that made it difficult for us to achieve the world to come, such that we will be abandoned in our wickedness. This is what the Torah says in Deuteronomy, and you will serve your enemies that God sends unto you, because you did not serve the Lord your God with joy amidst plenty. Right? If we don't use our resources wisely, we lose them. The explanation, Maimonides continues, of these verses is as follows. God will send you these blessings and keep you from the curses, so that you will be free to grow wise in Torah and delve in it. In this way you will merit the life of the world to come and enjoy the world that is entirely good, spending your days in a world that is infinitely long. Thus such people inherit two worlds, good life in this world, which brings them to the world to come. If one does not acquire wisdom and good deeds, then how will one merit this? This is as is written in Ecclesiastes, for there is no action, nor calculation, nor thought, nor wisdom from the grave. You got to do it here. But if you abandon God and sink into eating and drinking and fornication and the like, then all these curses will come upon you and remove all these blessings, God forbid, such that you will waste your days in haste and anxiety, and you will not have a heart that is free nor a body that is healthy in order to perform the commandments, God forbid, and you will lose your life in the world to come. Wow, it's pretty awful. Thus these people lose two worlds, for when a person is harried in this world by illness or war or famine, he cannot occupy himself with wisdom or the commandments, by which he would merit the life in the world to come. So much to say here about Maimonides' approach to theodicy. We're already over 8 minutes though, so I'm going to have to stop it here. Maybe in another context we'll be able to go in greater depth. But let me offer you now a Gemar Chasima Tova. May you complete the Teshuvah process and be sealed for good, and tomorrow we will continue. Thank you for listening.